Stereotypes are like rogue elephants with AIDS that have been set on fire by terrorists, except worse. We all hate stereotypes. Seriously. We hate them. Except that we don't. We adore stereotypes, and we desperately need them to define who we are or who we are not. People need to be able to say things like, all stereotypes are based on ignorance, because expressing such a sentiment makes them enlightened, open-minded, and incredibly unpleasant. Meanwhile, their adversaries need the ability to say such things as, like it or not, all stereotypes are ultimately based in some sort of reality, because that kind of semi-logic can justify their feelings about virtually anything. And here's what I suspect is the truth. Neither side is correct. Stereotypes are not based on fact, and they are not really based on fiction. Whenever a given stereotype seems right or wrong, it's inevitably a coincidence. The world is a prejudiced place, but it's prejudiced for the weirdest, least meaningful reasons imaginable. A few years ago, I toured 6 German cities over a span of 9 days. I was primarily struck by 2 points. A, the citizens of Germany are friendly and nervous. And B, the citizens of Germany perceive Americans to be obese, puritanical, non-smoking retards. Their opinion of the United States is mind-blowingly low, even when compared with how the U.S. is viewed by France. Now, I concede that my reason for viewing Germans as friendly is completely unsophisticated. I believe Germans are nice because they were nice to me, which is kind of like trying to be a meteorologist by looking out a window. But, at least from what I could gather, the reason German citizens assume Americans are barbaric and vapid is almost as unreasonable, even though they're usually half right. During a weekend in Frankfurt, I went to an exhibit at the Kunsthalle Art Museum called I Like America. This title, as one might expect, was meant to be ironic. It's taken from a 1974 conceptual art piece called I Like America and America Likes Me, in which German artist Joseph Beuys flew to New York and spent 3 days in a room with a live coyote and 50 copies of the Wall Street Journal. This piece was a European response to the destruction of Native American culture, which made about as much sense to me as it did to the coyote. The bulk of I Like America focused on German interest in 19th century American culture, specifically the depictions of Buffalo Bill, cowboys, and the artistic portrayal of Indians as noble savages. But it was curious to read the descriptions of what these paintings and photographs were supposed to signify. Almost all of them were alleged to illustrate some tragic flaw with American ideology. And it slowly dawned on me that the creators of I Like America had made one critical error. While they had not necessarily misunderstood the historical relationship between Americans and cowboy iconography, they totally misinterpreted its magnitude. With the possible exception of John Bon Jovi, I can't think of any modern American who gives a about cowboys, even metaphorically. Dramatic op-ed writers are wont to criticize warhawk politicians by comparing them to John Wayne, but no one really believes the movie Hondo affects policy. It's just a shorthand way to describe something we already understand. But European intellectuals use cowboy culture to understand American sociology, and that's a specious relationship, even during moments when it almost makes sense. As it turns out, Germans care about cowboys way more than we do. A sardonic German teenager told me what she thought the phrase, the American dream, meant. I assume it means watching Baywatch 24 hours a day, she said. She was, sort of, joking. But I've heard similar sentiments in every foreign country I've ever visited. There is widespread belief that Americans spend most of their lives watching Baywatch and MTV. But what's interesting about this girl's insight was her reasoning. She thinks Americans love Baywatch because Joey Tribbiani on Friends loved Baywatch. And this does not mean she viewed Friends as an accurate reflection of life, nor does it suggest that she saw Matt LeBlanc as a tragic spokesman for the American working class. This was just one random detail she remembered about an American TV show she barely watched. She didn't care about this detail, and neither do we. As I rode the train from Munich to Dresden to Hamburg, I started jotting down any random details I noticed that could prompt me to project larger truths about Germany. An abbreviated version is as follows. 1. No matter how much they drink, nobody here acts drunk. 2. Late-night German TV broadcasts an inordinate amount of Caucasian boxing. 3. Heavy metal is still huge in this country. As proof, there's astonishingly high interest in the most recent Paul Stanley solo record. 4. When addressing customers, waiters and waitresses sometimes hold their hands behind their backs, military style. I suppose I could use these details to extrapolate various ideas about life in Germany. I suppose I could create allegorical value for many of these factoids, and some of my conclusions might prove true. But I am choosing not to do this. Because now, I can't help but recognize all the things people do that A, have no real significance, yet B, define how outsiders see them. When I returned from my tour, many people asked me what Germany was like. I said I had no idea. But weren't you just there? They inevitably asked. Yes, I told them. I was just there, and I don't know what it's like at all.